about Syria. There's a reason why Israel hasn't been attacked since 1973, directly attacked like in a war. Does anybody know what that is?
Tetrad?
Hmm?
The tetrad? The tetrad?
No, they're the signs portending the war, but the sole reason Israel hasn't been attacked since 1973 is because they have an arsenal of weapons. Because they have the balance of power in the Middle East. And the biggest reason is their enemies know that they're prepared to use it. I went to a beginner gun class not long ago, and the teacher was showing us the guns, how to load it, how to aim and all this stuff, and he said, but the most important thing for you to do, it was a ladies' class, the most important thing that you have to realize is that you're learning all this, but you've got to be prepared to use it. Knowing how is not going to save you if you're not going to actually pull the trigger if necessary. Everybody in the Middle East knows that Israel will pull the trigger. They're not going to go quietly. They have a plan, an end time plan, not end time for them, called the Samson option. And if you know the story of Samson, he pulled in the columns of the temple that he was chained in, because if he's going, everybody's going down with him. And that's exactly their plan, and that's exactly why they haven't been attacked. Because they have nuclear weapons, and they know that they will use them. And in Syria's case, in the case of Damascus, it's the oldest inhabited city, but it's been destroyed numerous times. They've come in and they've destroyed it, and it's never not been inhabited there. They rebuilt it. This oracle against Damascus that is still as yet unfulfilled is a whole different ballgame. This says it will be a heap of ruins, never to be inhabited again. That's different. So whether the U.S. goes in there, I don't think it's the U.S. going to do anything to Damascus. I think this prophecy is going to be fulfilled by Israel. Because what I see, my opinion of what is going to happen is they are going to retaliate on Israel. And then that's when they're going to let loose. And they're going to let loose with nuclear weapons. And the rest of that, I should have brought that, the rest of that prophecy says that Jacob, the cities of Jacob will also be in ruins. They're all going to be suffering. They're going to all be hit. It's the Samson option. They're going to let loose on Damascus, and there's been other cities that have been abandoned, but they've never not been annihilated, like Chernobyl. You know, when the nuclear reactor melted down, nobody can live there. But now, how many years has it been since that happened? It's starting to lift. You can go in for short periods. They've built a amusement park there. So you can go in for short periods of time. When you see a tsunami come or a hurricane or something like that, it's usually rebuilt. It's not that it can be abandoned, but it's not the same deal that they're talking about for Damascus. When that goes, it's going to be it.
What about Egypt? Wasn't there a prophecy about Egypt that wouldn't be even a dog walk across Egypt without dying?
Well, there's a prophecy about Egypt in times that it says Egyptian will turn on Egyptian and city will turn on city, and that's happening right now in the Civil War.
But if there was anything about that,
that's happening in Egypt right now.
That's happening right now, and this all goes along with the wars and rumors of wars constantly. For years, it's literally years since I've been traveling over to Israel. Every time I've gone over, I've expected to actually be in the middle of something, and it hasn't happened.
She kind of looks forward to it.
Let's see some of that prophecy.
Well,
You were probably excited this week.
The,
Do you have access to a mask like they have?
Yeah, if you're in a hotel or something, they supply them too, but right now there's a 40% shortage of gas masks over in Israel. They're scrambling to get them out to the people.
I
They
see on
have
the internet,
centers.
they want $125 for them.
They
That'll
have,
work.
well, the
That hardly
government
work.
supplies them for nothing over there. And
I've used them.
my Hebrew teacher, that lives over here,
Practice.
she has two sisters that still live in Israel. They went there after the war, after they were liberated. And she called me one day and I said, she says, I talked to my sisters today, this morning, of course it's afternoon over there, and she says, and Bergie told me, she said, she looked out the window and saw her little grandson getting off the school bus, and as he's coming towards the apartment building, he's carrying his books and he's swinging his little gas mask. And this was back in 2002. So a kindergarten kid walking along with a backpack and a gas mask, and they're taught to put them on. For the babies, they have it's clear plastic thing that wraps around. You're supposed to put the baby in like a bassinet or something, and wrap this plastic around. Because most of the places don't have the sealed rooms. The more modern places have a sealed room where they go in and they tape it shut. But the older places don't. But I think it's going to be, I think when it finally lets loose, that they are going to attack Israel. This is my opinion. And when they do, Israel's not going to wait for Obama or anybody else. They're going to.
Now, Iran mentioned about if U.S. attacks.
Yeah, she should have.
Yeah, well, where's Tel Aviv in relation to
Tel Aviv.
Jerusalem?
Tel Aviv is about, let's see. Well, Ben Gurion Airport's in Tel Aviv, and I always stay in Jerusalem, and it takes me about a 45-minute shuttle ride.
Why would they pick Tel Aviv to attack?
It's the biggest city in Israel,
Okay.
the most populated.
There you go.
Very modern too.
Yeah,
It's
And
not
don't-
because that the Palestinians want Jerusalem, and a lot of, like, those Muslim nations are kind of standing behind the Palestinians, I thought that's why they wouldn't touch Jerusalem.
No, not really. Jerusalem is kind of, if they're going to hit something, they're going to try to take out as many as they can. And the economic center. Jerusalem isn't the economic center. It's, East Jerusalem is Arab, and then there's the Temple Mount, which is their second holiest site. So they're not going to do anything, they don't want to do anything necessarily that's going to interfere with all that.
Okay.
You're right on that. But when they hit, they want to hit just like, why did they go for New York City?
Because it's
Yeah,
big
there's
enough,
a-
Economic, yeah.
Right.
it's
It's
populated.
the big economic hub. It's,
Yeah.
Tel Aviv is their equivalent to our New York City.
Mhm.
And it's the
Okay.
most people, and it's very densely populated. You might not think so if you see pictures of it along the Mediterranean. It's a big, resort-like looking beach, but no, it's the biggest city in Israel, most populated. But, the reason, getting back to what I said, the reason that this hasn't been fulfilled yet, number one, is because Israel has the balance of nuclear power and not afraid to use it. But there's another reason. Because Damascus has been attacked and rebuilt and attacked over the centuries, why hasn't it ever been fulfilled? One reason, prophecy. The prophecy that's in Psalm 83, where the Palestinians form a confederation to come together in one accord, saying, we're going to wipe out Israel. We're taking you off the map. We're going to push you into the sea till the name is not even remembered anymore. Until that coalition of Arabs come together, that prophecy of the annihilation of Damascus couldn't come true, because that's not the prophecy. There's always wars and rumors of wars and attacks and everything. But until this prophecy with this confederation of Arabs against Israel come together in one accord, it's not going to happen. Are they together now? Oh, yeah. And they're using the same language as the Bible does.
Yeah.
Same exact language that the Bible does.
It's really true.
And they're getting bolder and bolder with it. Now, I had somebody, I was discussing a little bit about this the other day with somebody, and they said, well, it could be 2025 before it finally gets around to that. No, it couldn't. You know why I don't think it can be that long? Not just because it's all being hyped up again now. It's been hyped up like this ever since 2011 when I went over there and they were saying, we're going to hit Iran, we're going to hit Iran. Oh, here's another red line. Cross that one and see what happens. Well, this has been going on since 2011. I was over there in 2011 when another red line was supposedly crossed and nothing happened, and I actually was disappointed because I wanted to see them do something, you know? But it's been going on and on and on. This doesn't even, this Obama thing, what he's saying he's going to do doesn't even, it doesn't add up to me.
He might be doing it on purpose so that Iran does strike Israel.
There's all kind of things going on with Obama, not to get into just the, into the politics of it, but I don't know if any of you have heard about Morsi and the Muslim Brotherhood having to do with Obama's half-brother.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
saw a picture.
Well,
Yeah,
see,
yeah.
that's how Morrissey got in there, because Obama put him in, more or less, or put them in there
And old
because of the
Hillary was
Muslim
in there
Brotherhood.
saying, congratulations, Muslim Brotherhood.
And Obama was upset that he was overthrown and taken out. He wanted that in the worst way.
He was supplying the rebels, he was in Benghazi too, it's all a cover-up, it's all
Yeah.
crap.
I have a question for you. Do you find it, I don't know, I think everything that's taken place right now with Damascus and Syria and Feast of Trumpets is, September 4th and September 5th, and now the president is saying that they're going to wait until, Congress gets back into DC, which is September 3rd, and it's like, and then I know that with your time clock that you had did, you think more so maybe next year around the Feast of Trumpets 2014 with everything. Do you see anything that maybe like, this week could maybe something?
I think anything could happen between now and the sabbatical year of 2014. Because remember,
It's only 5 months away.
this is still 2013. Now, the Jewish year starts 2014 on September 4th, because we overlap.
Okay.
But I don't, by the time 2014/15 gets here, which is another year, I think the fulfillment of Psalm 83 and the fulfillment of Isaiah 17, which are basically the same battle, because you can see what's going to happen. If you look at this Syrian thing, this Damascus thing, everybody's poised that if you do this, we're going to do that. If the United States attacks, we're hitting Israel. And the Palestinians, they're all ready for something to trigger them to attack. And the same thing happened in 1948. Ben-Gurion had the foreknowledge that something was going to happen as soon as the state was declared. So before it was declared, he actually prepared for war. They didn't have an army then. They only had those three little, the Irgun, the Hailiyah, and the Haganah. Three different, like guerrilla warfare kind of things, but they were basically unarmed. They had guns they didn't have ammunition for. And he was preparing them, and until they finally got under a central command, where that's when they really pulled ahead and took over and won. But they had 5 states attack them, and they were just born, and they won. So what's going to happen now is Isaiah 17 and Psalm 83 have to happen before the Ezekiel 38 war, which turns Israel back to their God. And when's that going to happen? At the start of a sabbatical cycle, the last 7 years that we call the tribulation, where it's actually the 70th week of Daniel,
Which is
for
the 15th,
Israel,
2015.
which starts 2014/2015.
In my studies, like I watch a lot of videos and stuff and talk with different people out in California that are doing the same seminars that you are, and 2 of them are conflict. And one thinks that before the Psalms 83 war lines up and takes place, that the church would have to be taken out of here beforehand, because if the destruction breaks out, they believe that Ezekiel 38 is going to follow right after that, with Russia and Iran going, you know, attacking them, because then Israel has to lift up her walls to feel safe again. But then another scholar tells me that no, the Psalms 83 war will have to take place first before the church is, you know, lifted up.
We should see the fulfillment of Isaiah 17 and Psalm 83. I don't have any doubt. That has to happen in order to be the catalyst for the Ezekiel 38 war. Because it says they will be living in unwalled villages. They will be living in peace and safety. Well, we know it's not really secure peace and safety, and it's temporary at best.
Yeah.
But when they win this Isaiah 17 and Psalm 83 battle, they're going to be in control of more land, more resources. They're going to gain control over Jordan. They have to, in order for the Jews to flee to Jordan during the Antichrist, when he commits the abomination. But first of all, they have to be, how am I going to say it? Psalm 83 and Isaiah 17 have to take place in order to do the setup for the war of Ezekiel 38. If Ezekiel 38 won't come in right away, because the prophecy says God will put the hooks in the jaws of Gog and Magog, Russia and Iran, to come in to do what? To take a spoil, to take a plunder. Now, if they just finished up a battle of annihilating Damascus and subduing the Palestinian people to point their little people, they're not going to be in a position to like let things settle and to take stock of what.
Yeah.
Now, it's still going to be a matter of months. It's not going to be long. But I mean, it won't happen like boom, boom, boom. It'll happen boom, boom, pause, boom. But the tetrads that are coming in 2014 and 15 that portend war for Israel every time, major war, not just these little battles of 1953 and 1983 that were little, they call it the Lebanon War, the Gaza Strip War, you know, not those. We're talking about 1948 declared a state. We're talking about 1967 when they reunified Jerusalem, the Six-Day War. They're talking about 1973, the Yom Kippur War. Now there haven't been any major ones because that balance of power is back in their hands. They're not afraid to use it. But when the Ezekiel War happens, that's the catalyst to bring it's going to be supernaturally won by God. He says he's going to fight the battle. And in the same supernatural way he fought other battles for Israel when they won. Joshua will go march around the walls 7 times and then blow, and then the walls came down. Okay? I'm trying to think of some of the other the battles, but He causes the enemies to fight themselves, like they're blind, they don't know, they kill each other. That's what's going to happen, because, and they're going to, it has to happen in a way that the Jews know that God caused them to win the victory, not themselves. And it talks about, the scriptures talk about Israel's exceedingly great army. They're the ones that's going to take care of Isaiah 17 and Psalm 83. They're the ones going to fulfill those. But in the Ezekiel war, it's not the Israelis' exceedingly great army that's doing it. They're going to go to battle, yeah. But who's going to win it for them? God. When they see that, they're going to turn to God and say, He has torn and He has, what's the thing? My mind
He
doesn't
bound up.
email. He has torn and He will bind us up. And that's when they call for their temple, because they will come back into the old covenant relationship with Him. And they'll want to do their sacrifices again. They'll want their temple back. Well, there's only one person that's going to see that happens, the Antichrist. He won't be the Antichrist yet. But if we're here, we're going to know it's him. We will know it's him. But if not, if the rapture happens and we're gone, he won't be revealed as the Antichrist, so he commits the abomination. That's why the Jews are going to think he's the wonderful Messiah who's bringing them peace and allowing them to rebuild their temple. And then halfway through the 70th week is when he's going to commit the abomination, and then the Great Tribulation begins. So Ezekiel 38, I think, is going to happen in 2014 and 15. So I think we're going to see these two fulfillments at some point. Might not be now with all this hullabaloo they're calling for. You know, they float balloons on this stuff too. They send up trial balloons to see the reaction of people. You know, is there panic or is there not, or do they believe you or whatever. And this can go on, who knows how long this is going to go on. But when it happens, it's not going to be because Obama went in there and did anything. Unless he's a trigger that causes everybody, like Iran saying, or Russia saying, you attack, we're going to attack you. But I have no doubt that Israel's going to get attacked and they're going to retaliate.
Yeah, Benjamin Netanyahu said that if they attack Israel because the U.S. attacks them, that they're going to bomb Damascus, and that gave me goosebumps when he said that. I'm like, oh, you just read the Bible.
Netanyahu, he blows a lot of hot air too. He says they
You know,
probably.
those red lines that everybody crosses red lines and he just
Yes.
draws another red line.
Yes, he already
Really?
said, he said it's a very low incident that he thinks that they'll attack Israel. Well, what are they giving the gas mask out for? He's saying that so as not to cause panic. He's saying that to throw everybody off. He's smarter than we are. We're on television telling everybody what kind of weapon we're going to use when we're going in and how we're going to do it, and oh, go hide. Who was it that just made the remark? I don't think I'm going to show that now tonight because I got other stuff I was going to do. Somebody just said, was it? I saw John Bolton on Fox, and he said, why don't they just go in there and oh, John Bolton said it. He said, well, if I was Putin, he says, if I was them, I would just go in there and declare a snow day and tell everybody to go home, because we know when they're going to attack us and when and how, and he made a joke out of it. It's a joke, the way they're getting on their loose lip sync ships. I mean, you don't give away all your strategy.